Good game, Lola. Good game. Mariners win 8-7. They improved to 77-58 on the season. They've evened the series against the Mets at a game apiece. Let's talk about how it happens. Teoscar goes deep in the second inning, 1-0. Mariners get 2 in the third. Teoscar singles homer run, and before that, Julio Rodriguez triples home JP Crawford, 3-0. Mets get it all back with apparently DJ Stewart is the greatest player in baseball history. Homers to center, clobbers a homer to center, scores Pete Alonso and Daniel Vogelbach 3-3. Teoscar Hernandez hits a sac fly in the fifth, makes it 4-3. Dominic Canzone homers to right to score Mike Ford. We'll talk about why Mike Ford was in the game in just a second. 6-3. And the Mariners get another run with Julio Rodriguez safe at first on it. What they're calling a throwing error by Vientos. I think that was a pretty tough error, to be completely honest with you. 7-3, and the Mariners needed all of it and then some, because in the sixth inning, Mark Vientos homers off of we'll talk about Luis Castillo, 7-4. Francisco Lindor homers off of Gabe Spire with Omar Narvaez on, 7-6. Eighth inning, Jeff McNeil triples to right to score Francisco Lindor to tie this game at 7. But J.P. Crawford, Lola, ties or breaks the tie with the homer to right to make it 8-7. Lola, you went down. Okay, I'm going to pause this and put this dog down. I just love her. So as I've talked about before, Lola's not doing great. She's a 13-year-old pup. She's having really bad skin problems right now. So I try and hold her as much as I possibly can. But yeah, dogs. Love them to death. Let's go over the positives and negatives. No, let's not do that. Let's talk about the good people of Simply Seattle first, because they're the best. Anything you're looking for Seattle sports related, you can get at Simply Seattle. You can get this awesome hat at Simply Seattle. You can get this awesome Big Penix Energy shirt. Very careful saying that one. At Simply Seattle. You can get Julio stuff. You can get Cal Raleigh stuff. You've seen the Big Dumper shirts. Whether you're a fan of the Mariners, the Seahawks, the Kraken, the Sonics, the Huskies, the Cougars, the Storm, the Sounders, whoever Pacific Northwest related, you know you can get that gear from Simply Seattle. And you can save 15% on your order if you use code MOLLYWOP15. That's MOLLYWHOP15. Just insert it at checkout and it'll take 15% off your order. Thank you, Simply Seattle. This game was nuts. This was a fun baseball game as a neutral party for sure. As a Mariner fan, I think, so this is one of the reasons I think I need to monetize. The Mariners are taking years off my life. This game absolutely took 2.6, 2.7, something along that line. Just a real hard game to get a feel for at times too, because every time the Mariners built a big lead, it quickly dissipated. Let's talk about some negatives first, because we like to end with the positives on wins, don't we? Luis Castillo was bad today. That's the first time I can say Luis Castillo was bad as I think a Seattle Mariner. He stunk. He gave up 8 hits. He walked 2. He only struck out 2. He gives up 2 long homers. His command was the worst I've seen it as a Seattle Mariner. Not even close. He really struggled. He was having some issues early in the game with some wind stuff, like Sam Haggerty drops a fly ball. I don't care what was going on with the sky. I don't care. That's a play a major league player has to make. That counts as a double against him. There were a couple other whirly ones. I don't care. Like the Mariners need to make a couple of those plays. But even if you take those away, he wasn't good. It was not a good start from him. And here's the great thing. Not a good start and they win. Nice to win a start where your ace doesn't have it. And he clearly just didn't have it today. But he wasn't the only one. Gabe Spire gives up a 2-run homer. Taylor Saucedo blows a save and gives up a triple. I don't think you can use Saucedo in high leverage situations. There's too many other good arms for me to have Saucedo pitching in those situations. And I get it, like lefties and facing at first the bottom of that lineup. I get it from that perspective. Justin Topa, Andre Munoz, and Matt Brash need to be our high leverage guys. And we'll talk about Brash in a second. But the bullpen was mediocre tonight. Two guys pitched well. Two guys pitched really bad, and they were the lefties. Offensively, I don't know if there's a huge negative. Jose Caballero had another tough game. I will talk about a positive for Jose Caballero in a second. I hope I remember to, because this is scattershot. This game was just nuts. Eugenio Suarez was bad. Makes a couple of really good defensive plays. Just bad. And somebody was arguing with me on Twitter about like taking a look at his WRC and all that stuff. Folks, that's 1 month. He had one good month. Everything else has been bad. I don't care what the analytics tell me. I watched this baseball team every gosh dang day minus 1 day. 1 day I didn't get to see the Seattle Mariners play, and I watched an awful lot of highlights of that game. I watched them every day. I am saying, with my heart of hearts, that Eugenio Suarez has been a bad offensive player for the overwhelming majority of 2023. And he's scuffling right now. Rally was so-so at best. Dylan Moore was bad. Caballero we talked about. Sam Haggerty we talked about. Well, kind of. Gives a couple stolen bases. There's really 2.5 offensive heroes today. Real negative here. Ty France gets hit in the elbow. Has to leave. It did not look good. They're calling it an elbow bruise. So maybe he returns to the lineup tomorrow. Maybe he could be back in the lineup for the series against the Reds. You don't know. And as frustrating as Ty France's season is, I want him in the lineup over quite a few of these guys. So here's hoping this is a short stint. Obviously, I want it to be a short stint anyway, because I don't want somebody to be hurt. Positives. And let's go back to that pitching. Matt Brash was awesome. Matt Brash was really good. You look at the strike total, he only threw 13 of 24 pitches for strikes. The movement he had on those offerings was just unbelievably good. And he came in a huge situation with Pete Alonso up, and he made Pete Alonso look dumb. That was a really impressive pitching performance. And I love that he was able to give you an inning in a third, too. Brash certainly has the arm strength. I don't want to see too many of these, in part because Matt Brash has already appeared in, I believe it's 66 games now. That's a lot, folks. That's well over a third of the games. That's nearly half of the games the Mariners have played right now. So he's guaranteed to finish over that 1/3 point. So I don't want it too often if you're going to use him that often. But it is nice to see them rely on him to get those outs. And then Justin Topa, he made it interesting. Did make it interesting. But he gets the job done in part because, you know what? Ty France, I owe you an apology. It's a huge one. I'm sorry, Ty France. I got to get comfy for this one. Ty France, I kind of thought you might be the slowest major league player I see this year. It's not even close. That Dan Vogelbach did not make it to second base on that play. And for those who missed it, he leads off the 9th inning against Topa, smacks a ball into the left center field gap. And Canzone did get to it pretty quickly and make a pretty good throw. I think it was Canzone. Somebody get in left field, gets to it, and makes a pretty darn good throw. I just want to make sure who that was. No, it was Haggerty. Haggerty gets to the ball, makes a good throw. But the fact that Vogelbach was thrown out and with ease, because J.P. Crawford cuts that ball off and turns around, and he's kind of looking to see if there's a play. Dan Vogelbach's not even close to there. Holy crap on a cracker. I know just looking at Dan Vogelbach that he's not fast, right? And I'm not pot calling the kettle black here, because Lord knows that he's faster than me. But for a major league player to not get in with that double is insane. bizarre, pathetic. I don't know. But thankfully it works out in the Mariners' favor. Because Crawford caught that ball and he was just like, well, I could kind of turn and look, but he was like, really? Okay. I mean, that is beyond slow. That is like watching Edgar trying to run towards the end of his career slow. Don't care because it worked out. And look, Vogelbach came up with a huge hit to win the game yesterday. So you take the bitter and the better there a little bit, but my goodness gracious. And if you're Vogelbach there, it's not quite the same as the Caballero terrible, terrible base running mistake he made. But it's pretty close. It's pretty close. If you're not going to make it, you got to stay station to station, man. It's a big out. Seen both in the ninth inning of the last two games. We've seen massive outs because of a base running blunder and then just the good Lord not blessing you with great wheels. He's gifted in other ways, folks. He's gifted in other ways. It's what you hear people say about people who are bad at certain things, I guess. That's the nice way to spin it. The positives offensively, J.P. Crawford. Can't say enough. Can't say enough good things. He's now hitting 273, 390, 438 with 14 homers. He's got a shot to finish in like that 17, 18 range. And maybe he could have gotten to 20 if not for the concussion. Good for you, man. What a big difference. I mean, having Crawford be this good was so big because of how little for most of the season you've gotten from Suarez in France. He's no longer the team MVP because of Julio. But he's such an easy second. Such an easy second. And what a clutch moment there. Now, I will say, the pitch Adam Ottavino threw to him, not good. But good for Crawford for driving it. Good for him being aggressive and looking to make hard contact and pulling that baseball out. Another great game from Teoscar. Canzone coming in as a pinch hitter, getting that big homer. Every run mattered today. Pulls that ball down the line. Nice job. Julio gets the RBI triple. I really do think that was a hit. It wouldn't 100% shock me if they changed the scoring on that, because that's a chopper. You're rushing like heck to get one of the faster players in baseball. Didn't make a good throw. No question about it. I would have given him the hit and the RBI. It might be just because I'm a huge biased Julio fan, but I would have given him the hit. And then real quick, I'm glad I remembered it. Caballero, with the score, I believe it was tied. Oh, no, the Mariners had a 4-3 lead. They bring the infield in, and Jose Caballero made a terrific diving catch. Huge play. Because, again, yes, the Mariners end up blowing that lead, but every run mattered today. Every single one mattered an awful lot. That's how one-run wins work. This was the first. There have been some 2022, 2021-esque wins this year. This is the first one that really reminded me of those last couple of years. Because one of my favorite things about this Mariner team is that we haven't had a lot of them. Now, there have been some games that have driven me nuts. Don't get me wrong. But there have been a lot of wins that have just been the Mariners kicking tail. A lot of them. They haven't needed to win these type of games, especially lately. Especially that ridiculous month of August. Don't get me wrong, the Kansas City series was absolutely bonkers. There were a couple other games that just about murdered me. But most of the games that have been games that have tried to kill me have been losses. So they've killed me in a different way. But there have been very few wipe my brow, thank goodness wins this year. They exist. No question about that. But they're not quite as prevalent as they have been the last couple of years. Great to win this game. Great that you can still win this series. You got George Kirby going tomorrow. I forget who the Mets are pitching tomorrow. We'll look that up. I should know. Boy, Castillo was bad today. So to get a win in a game like that, where your ace just doesn't have it, he was kind of due for a game like that. He'd given up 1 run over his last 14 innings. He'd gone 7 innings. And I don't blame Service for trying to squeeze another inning out of him. I will say I thought it was a mistake to leave Saucedo in to face McNeil. Lefty, all that stuff, fine. I get it. Go to your best pitcher in that high leverage situation. Go to your best pitcher. McGill. Tyler McGill. I haven't looked up McGill's stats in a little while. Should we do that real quick? Not great. Not great, but he did pitch well in his last start. So we'll see how that goes. That was that 4-3 loss the Mets had to Texas. A game that I was paying close attention to. By the way, I do believe we got a lot of help today. I got to be honest with you. I didn't get to watch a lot of games before the Mets or before the Mariner game because I was paying a lot of attention to college football. Boy, the Huskies look great. That was fantastic to see. Just making sure that we did get that help that we were talking about. We got a New York Yankees win over Houston. That's awesome. And we got a Colorado Rocky win over Toronto. That's awesome. And I'm pretty sure I saw the Twins beat the Rangers. I'll put a note in the thing if I'm wrong, but great. Great. It's scoreboard watch time, folks. It's almost Labor Day. This is a little longer video than I intended, but I just wanted to say one other thing. So, I've been talking a lot about the monetization of this stuff and how, the views mean a lot and all that stuff. Even with videos that are only getting 200, 300 views, which, I'm very appreciative of. What I'm really appreciative of is that you guys hit that like button and you comment and you continue the dialogue. That means so much to me. It feels like we're building a community here. And I'll be honest, that wasn't necessarily an intended goal of mine. But now that it's in front of me, I love it. And I was thinking about maybe we can do some stuff to build on that. Maybe we can do a Discord. Maybe we can do some group chat type stuff. But I really do appreciate that, folks. Even in games that are not terribly interesting, like Mariners losing to Oakland 3-1, I still get a ton of likes and a ton of comments. And that means a lot. Just typing in Go Mariners means a lot. Because you guys don't have to do that. But you do, and it's so appreciated. Know that I read every single one of these things. I don't always reply. I always hit the heart button, though, because I really do appreciate it. And it's just been so great. This is 135 of these right now. And I do realize that there have been people who've been doing stuff like this longer. But I have just felt overwhelmed with the support, but in a good way. A lot of times overwhelmed is bad. I hate feeling overwhelmed. But you guys have been awesome. And I just really want to thank you because it's just made this journey feel so good. And I want to appreciate everybody who said nice things about my Julio article too. It's probably my favorite thing I've ever written. It's probably the best thing I've ever written too. Thank you. Please hit like and subscribe on this one and comment, all that good stuff. Follow me on that website, Crawford_MILB. Sports Sometimes Podcast, Sportstopia Fantasy Fire and Ice Contest, or podcast, Fire and Ice Podcast. I'm still getting used to it. We've only been going for a couple of weeks. And the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. You hear my words too much, I know. But I've got a lot of stuff going on, and I appreciate everybody checking all that stuff out. Nail biter. Let's go win a series tomorrow.